Hi, and welcome to the Spirit of the Warrior podcast. My name's Nick. I'm the owner and operator of Spirit of the Warrior LLC, and I'm doing something a little bit different, stepping out some of my comfort zone and making good on some promises that I had made to folks, in particular, my original VA doc, Doc Lazenby, who really motivated me to push my limits sometimes, encouraged me to take advantage of different opportunities to look at things a bit more positive than I had been. Because of my PTSD, she was really helping redefine the envelope or the bubble that I was living my life in. She sent me to Boston for the home base program for PTSD. It was an excellent program. Definitely encourage that to anyone out there suffering from PTSD to talk to their doc and see what they can do. It is a free for the veteran program, and it was helpful. You're given some tools to work with, and those are something we certainly need. She also helped point me in the direction of getting a service dog, where I have Quincy, my little apartment, my partner, down there on the floor relaxing because it's a fairly hot day today, so she's chilling out, so to speak. But she encouraged me to do things that I was a bit reluctant for. And one of those things was, take my knowledge and write a book, something to share. That was something I kind of scoffed off. But as it stands, 2 years ago, I actually started writing a book based on mentorship, leadership, lessons learned throughout my childhood, career, and in my retirement. And that really kind of got pushed to a focus to do when I ran into some folks that they needed a little guidance in their life, and they had questions. Things were not adding up with some of what was going on. So I was more than happy to, sit down, talk, try and help them out the best I could. And hopefully the information I gave them made their lives a little bit better with whatever they were dealing with. Oh, and if you see me doing my little neck twitches, it's time to cut my hair. It's dragging down the back of my neck. So just kind of ignore that for now. It'll be addressed soon. But I also started writing things down thanks to a young man named Colby. In a nutshell, I would say he's my protege, and I'm his mentor. This young man, I go to Pale Horse Coffee. For those that aren't in the Chesapeake area, man, go online and look for Pale Horse Coffee. It is great. I'm practically fueled by it almost daily. I mean, it fuels me making it through this podcast, making it through the day. So, little side note, Pale Horse Coffee, great coffee. But I would go there more so when I got Quincy. That was the first place I went to, kind of ease into being in public. And Quincy helped me a lot. She is a beautiful partner. She's just totally loving, helpful. When I'm having an issue, she recognizes it and helps me, we'll say, come back to grips with things. So, needless to say, I've been going to Pale Horse for about 2+ years now, somewhere in that ballpark. It's kind of like a second home, really. And at one point, there was a young man who usually sat next to, sat at a table that was next to the one I usually occupied, so I had room for Quincy under the table. And this young man was sitting there having a cup of coffee, doing his homework before heading off to school. It was his senior year of high school. And Quincy being Quincy, she's very friendly, very outgoing, loves to meet new people. So she kind of introduced herself to Colby, which was kind of funny. And then after a little bit, he and I got to talking. We would sit there and have a conversation for a bit, and then school year ended and he was graduating, and at that point I wished him well. I'm like, well, probably be the last time I see this young man. He's going off in the world, going to college, going on to do great things. And I was proud of that, to be able to talk with him for a bit and hear how well he had things planned out. Well, as it turns out, he kept coming back to talk, and I was actually quite humbled and quite honored that he was stopping in simply to have a cup of coffee and chat with me. And that was, like I said, extremely humbling. And I was definitely honored that someone would want to come in and take time out of their day to sit and talk and hear about, anything I had to say, advice, opinions, you name it. That's where we were, just sitting there conversing, and it was great. And he'd stop by there pretty routinely up until he, parted off, and he's like, I'll keep in touch. And I'm like, okay, With that being said, it really lit the fire for me with regards to helping out and, sharing things I've learned. So I guess you could say the book was stage 1, podcasts, stage 2, kind of like a video supplement, if you will. So what I've titled the book for now is what my mentors taught me and things I've learned along the way. And there's a lot of topics that I put in there. I started by breaking out what I thought was important to discuss, and in some cases how they all relate to each other. And I had been contemplating doing podcasting for a little while now, to kind of, again, push the envelope, step outside a little bit. And where I'm at right now, in this podcast studio, I was able to talk with them and generate some sort of agreement that gave me plenty of time to sit here and talk. So with the contract and what was made available to me, I went ahead and jumped on board and decided to go ahead and take a stab at it. I may not be the best speaker at the moment. Obviously, it'll take time for me to get used to this. right now I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants, you know. So with that being said, my goal with this is to try and get, hopefully at a minimum, one podcast out every 2 weeks at a minimum. That's the goal I'm shooting for. It may take me a month or two to get there, but that's what I'm shooting for. That's the goal I'm setting for myself. I'm going to try and keep these podcasts to 15 to 20 minutes, because I know people probably will get bored and move on. But the goal is to try and share some knowledge that I have, some advice, some learning tips, things that I've learned that are good, things I've learned that were bad, and everything in between. To be honest, if this reaches even one person and helps them, I'm extremely humbled. I really am. And I'm glad that I was able to help them. So, so for me, it's not so much about subscriber counts or likes, although they are greatly appreciated and, help me, feel like I'm doing something that is out there helping some people. Because there are a lot of people out there, same situation with me, with PTSD, that sometimes, just want to hear from someone who shares, their situation, if you will. But like I said, if this helps even one person, then me stepping outside my bubble, outside my comfort zone, is 1,000,000% worth it. It truly is. As I go through some of these topics and whatever I may be talking about, there might be an offshoot link to current events going on in this country. And, I may offer my view, my opinion of it, whether it's asked for or not. Don't care. My podcast. Get over it. But there are things to be said about what's going on in the country and even around the world. So some topics may have an offshoot into real world events. I'll give my opinion on them. Your opinion may be different. That's fine. You're more than welcome to discuss things down in the comments. What I do ask is abide by the rule of being willing to agree to disagree. No harm, no foul. You respect others, they respect you. That's paramount. I truly believe in that. And as such, when you're putting comments down below, I ask that you be respectful of others that are posting their comments, and I would ask they be respectful of your comments. Be respectful to me, family, friends, to Quincy, because, she's just as important as any human being in my life. So I ask that you all be very respectful to each other, right? Because if you can't be respectful, there's not going to be a constructive outcome to the discussion. So, you know, be kind to each other, be respectful, and hey, you know, you can feel the way you feel. Just remember, you know, agree to disagree and be polite. Also, if you've got any suggestions helping me out in my podcast endeavors, hey, drop them down, let me know. My intentions are to read all the comments and, you know, see what other people have to say, because it's always a learning experience. So with that being said, that kind of makes this, I guess, a virtual mentorship channel, if you will. And I, again, hope that this information can help somebody out there who needs it, or grateful for it. I'm going to do what I can to make the most of this opportunity. I will probably evolve and have some sort of a script rather than flying by the seat of my pants. So I'm not running in circles, which I tend to do from time to time. You know, the day you stop learning is the day you die. So I'm always learning something. I'm always pushing certain things within reason. This podcast being one of those, trying to make it happen. And the final note I'll make for this podcast, and I'll wrap it up, is one, anything I bring up, like the home base program and so forth, things that I believe will help other vets. I'm going to put the links down below so that they'll be there. More for being helpful resources if someone wants more information or trying to find some help. It'll be there, and they can, you know, hopefully find what they're looking for. There'll also be a link to my website, for lack of better wording. It's a hybrid of a website that I occasionally post things to of what's going on in life, and a storefront for an assortment of things I've made, things I've customized, stuff that my wife has politely told me I'm not allowed to keep, because I ran up a lot of bills to get the equipment to make this stuff. So I need to, you know, sell them to make some money to pay these bills off. And she's not wrong. I can't blame her. So there'll be like a little offshoot episode here and there where I'll discuss what's essentially what I call my creative therapy, where I go out to the workshop and I just get lost in the dark corners of my mind and start making things. But here we are. We're gonna call this the end of the pilot episode. Kind of made it through. Hopefully it helped you in some way, shape, or form, or at least, you know, if you're gonna hang around to see the other episodes, that you know what you're getting into. So that all said and done, I thank you for watching. If you'd like, you know, hit a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you really want, subscribe, hit the bell to follow, so you'll know when things come up. And I greatly appreciate it. If you like what you're seeing, what you're hearing, you know, please, you know, tell others about it. Maybe they, you know, would like to hear it as well. So I'm going to close with my saying of go hard, be humble. You know, give everything you've got to what you're doing and then some. Push your limits, and once you break those limits, now you're just starting to find out what you're capable of past that threshold. You know, that threshold, as I've learned, is self-imposed. So push past it, and see what you're capable of. So go hard, be humble, take care of each other, stay safe. You know, as vets, we need to take care of each other and take care of ourselves, because sometimes we're left on our own. So y'all take care and stay blessed.